Hey, speaking of oppression, got some Black Lives Matter topics. Last week, we discussed how 3 co-founders of Black Lives Matter used their 2020 George Floyd bucks to buy a $6 million mansion in L.A., claiming it was not a personal home, but instead a creative space for influencers. Even though a couple years later now, no influential products have emerged from this creator studio. One of those co-founders is self-described trained Marxist Patrisse Cullors, who spoke on April 8th at an event at the Vashon Center for the Arts. How do I pronounce that, Seattle City? Is it Vashon?
Vashon.
Vashon. Okay, the Vashon Center for the Arts outside of Seattle, to promote her new book. And she was asked about this whole episode of scrutiny on her and her other Black Lives Matter co-founders for the purchase of this mansion. She said, I don't even know what Form 990s are. Those, of course, are the forms that forms from charities that are required, or forms that charities are required to file with the IRS to disclose their finances. And this ensures their financial transparency in exchange for tax-exempt status as a charity. Patrisse Cullors says that transparency is actually a weapon to put Black people like her in danger.
But what is the opportunity to set a new standard for transparency and accountability that hopefully will be willing to ask across the board, and not just of the Black woman-led organization that seems to always be setting the new standards?
That's exactly right. First of all, number one, I actually did not know what 990s were before all of this happened.
It's confusing.
Something's being weaponized against us that many people don't even know and honestly don't care about. It is such a trip now to hear the word, the term 990s. I'm like, ugh, it's like triggering. This doesn't seem safe for us. This 990 structure, this nonprofit system structure, this is like deeply unsafe. Like, this is being literally weaponized against us, against the people we work with. I can't tell you how many people are like, am I next?
Yeah, you know what else is weaponized? The fraud.
Yeah, exactly.
Deceptive premises under which you accepted millions of dollars, which was supposed to help victimized Black people. That was the premise. Instead, you bought a mansion for you and your friends. That's called fraud. And she wants us to believe that it's our fault for noticing. So I guess we must protect the fraudsters from getting triggered.
Nice. More fraud in Black Lives Matter. It was so obvious. And then it's all these like white leftists donating Black Lives Matter, feeling good about themselves. And then it just goes to enrich a few people that are taking advantage of all these poor Black people. It's just poetic. I love this.
And I'm sure it'd probably be rationalized. I'm sure there are plenty out there who would say, well, so what if they bought a mansion? Good. That's a concentrated reparation. And, you know, if that's what you want to donate to, I suppose that's fine. It's your money, not mine. But that's the point. It's your money. Patrisse Cullors and company took it under certain premises and betrayed those premises and enriched themselves instead. And an interesting thing that she said during this exchange was, well, you know, Black Lives Matter has only been a 501c3 charity for a couple of years now. So that's kind of why I didn't know that much about all these about all the rules and about 990s and tax exempt status.
A few years.
Well, it also raises some interesting questions too. Are you telling me that Black Lives Matter has not been tax exempt for, I don't know, the better part of a decade before that? And if so, are you implying that all tax laws were followed with the flow of those funds? Because
what happened to donations before they were a charitable organization? Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet there were a lot of revenues that went untaxed. I'm guessing.
Where's the IRS on that?
That's the implied admission. Well, we weren't even tax exempt before. I bet you acted tax exempt, though, didn't you?
I know.
I bet you did a lot of tax exemption, even though you didn't have the legal status.
This is rich in irony. Do you know anything about Vashon Island?
No.
So it's the most leftist place in the entire country.
Ugh.
It's also very safe and very white. It's where all Seattleites go to escape racial minorities and homeless people. It's an island outside of Seattle. So it's rich in irony that she would do this at the Vashon Center for the Arts.
Okay. The perfect spot chosen. Yeah. So one of the biggest frauds in the history of the country. And once again, it is your fault for noticing that it is one of the biggest frauds.
And nobody cares, and they'll never be investigated, and the IRS is never going to look into this. And
probably not.